goodness. If you guys want to send us some emails, you can do so, info@gritcitypodcast.com. We have a Patreon, which is a lot of fun. I mean, I guess.
Another one?
Well, no, we have the same Patreon. So it would be really cool if people actually went
Castle
to.
ProSec went out of business.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. So we don't have any small businesses that are backing us at that $50 level, and we had one, and now that is zero.
Yeah, don't call him. He got an offer for a private security firm he couldn't pass up. For a lot more money.
Yeah,
He's
I
just
can't blame him on that, man.
Yeah, he's like, I can continue to struggle, or I can just take this job.
Yes, but you can back us at lower levels on the old Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/gritcitypodcast, you can do the $4, which is very helpful for us in terms of getting us equipment or letting us do silly things like the boot to boot or stuff like that.
Yeah, T-shirts. They helps us buy all kinds of shit. Helps us do all kinds of things. Pays for hosting. Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
buys Mickey's.
Yeah. Buy some beers.
Brogan brought the Mickeys, which I
Mickey's and Taco Bell. It tells you the kind of morning.
I know,
I'm
like,
in
yeah,
for.
what the hell's going on with you when you bring... Well, first off, how much money did you spend... Speaking of tacos. Hi, Jeff.
Oh, we started?
Yes. Oh, my God,
No, I'm
Jeff.
joking.
Okay, Jesus Christ, Jeff, you're killing me.
T-Rex, apparently.
T-Rex. No one said
Yeah.
T-Rex.
So how much did you spend at Taco Bell today?
$31.86.
That's a lot, man.
It was a lot of Taco Bell. It's for the first time ever that got sent to wait for my order.
Yeah, so you had to sit around.
Yeah, and it took them a really long time.
Well, yeah, you got like... I mean, well, yeah, $31 worth of Taco Bell is a lot of tacos.
Yeah, I got 16 items.
That's actually more than our famous time that we went from Nibbles and Bites once
And
that
got
was
10
there.
soft tacos and 2 double-decker tacos.
Yeah, but the key to order that one is you ask for 2 double-decker tacos and then 10 soft tacos.
At 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and see how much the person loves you.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
one guy that's working at 1
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted sour cream or not, you got it.
And you know what? They're getting rid of the double-decker taco.
Nah,
There's
that's a
9
bad
items
idea.
are killing, and the double-decker is my favorite, so I'm really sad about that.
What are the other 8?
The Cool Ranch Doritos Locos Tacos and like just random other stuff that I don't
Dude,
care about.
you know way too much about Taco Bell. Way too much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Well-
really, you just don't know enough.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Shamer. This is a no-shame Taco Bell zone.
Thank you, Brogan.
By the way, Taco Bell, we do need a sponsor.
Yeah, back us at the $50
Dude, if we got
Patreon.
Taco Bell as a sponsor, I would wear a Taco Bell jumpsuit every day.
A Taco Bell jumpsuit.
Yep.
Wow. I actually kind of like. Would it be like a prison suit, or are you talking more along?
No, like a leisure suit.
Oh, would it like
With
Velcro?
tacos all over it.
Tacos. Ooh.
Yeah, maybe breakaway pants. Oh no.
Oh, Jeff.
Enjoying my Taco Bell taco.
Yeah, we can all hear. We can all
Oh,
hear.
Dan wanted you to have these.
Whoa, what is this? They are Cyberpunk playing cards. Ooh, he got these from the Cyberpunk thing at PAX West that happened the last week or so. He went to PAX. I didn't, so that's cool.
No, he didn't get those at PAX.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. Well, he got Cyberpunk playing cards, and now I have Cyberpunk playing cards. So that's cool. Thanks, Dan. All right, let's stop with all that fun stuff, and let's get into our guest. We've got Oliver Scott. That is correct, right?
Yes, it is.
How you doing, Oliver?
I'm doing great.
Go ahead and talk right into the microphone. Just get right into it.
Sorry. I'm doing wonderful. I'm very glad you guys decided to have me on.
Yeah, this is really cool because was it you that messaged us on Facebook?
Yes, it is.
And so, yeah, that's a way for people. If you're doing something in Tacoma, you can message us on Facebook. Like I said, info@Grit City Podcast. And if you've got something interesting that you're doing, we'd love to hear about that. And you have the Urban Business Support, which is located at urbanbizsps.org. And this is what exactly is the Urban Business Support?
So what we do is we provide business plan training, personal credit literacy, and leadership skills to businesses that are in gentrifying neighborhoods.
And so what is that? So it's in terms. So what does that mean? What does gentrification mean?
So gentrification is defined by sociologists as when lower income inhabitants of a neighborhood are displaced by richer, more affluent residents.
And so it's usually something along the lines of of people coming in, buying up older property, usually fixing it up, and then selling that for a higher price, thus pushing out the people who are out there right now living there to bring in people who have more money to pay for that stuff.
Exactly. And there's a lot of attention that gets paid to the housing, and
Yeah.
which is definitely very important. But the small businesses that are in these neighborhoods often get overlooked. And I have been a small business lender for the past 10 years, and finding it very difficult to get financing for these businesses, I decided that I needed to do something about it.
And with Urban Business Support, you're a 501c, correct?
That's correct.
And in terms of helping people out, what do you set out to do when you're doing this?
So what we aim to do is we take a three-pronged approach to working with small business owners. We first of all help them to develop a business plan. We have a business plan in a day workshop that using an app, you can go through and do a business plan in 6 hours.
Wow.
It's a basic business plan. It's about 7 to 8 pages, but it's enough to at least get you started on building out a plan that you can then apply directly from the app. You can apply to Kiva, who is a big micro lender internationally and in the United States. They offer loans up to $10,000, no interest, no fees.
Wow.
You can't argue with that. So,
and Brogan, you've had to do business plans because you've got Wizards Keep Games, and you're doing stuff in the future. I don't know if you want to announce that yet or not.
Oh yeah, the Grit City Bottle Company.
Yeah,
is going to be a thing.
Which is really exciting. So
which
next year,
now we are on the lending part of this.
Really,
So
that's
exciting.
interesting. So how hard was it for you then to make a business plan? Like when you first set out to make one, what was it like for you?
It was Scott and I talking on the phone every day for weeks,
dude. Yeah.
We used LivePlan for the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And LivePlan
Okay.
is overkill, is what I've been told by everybody. But the information it gives you is really good.
Yep.
So.
yes, ours is more basic. It's meant to be something that you can take to a micro lender, say, and look for financing. It's not going to be a 25 to 30 page business plan that, say a more traditional financial institution is going to want to see. And it's really not only about looking for financing, it's also just about defining where it is that you are, where you want to go, and what steps you need to take to get there. And you don't always need 25 to 30 pages to figure that out.
That's a fact.
Right. And these are small business owners who don't have a whole lot of time anyway. And so if we can get them a basic plan in 6 hours, then they can figure out what it is that they need to do and what goals they need to set and what steps they need to take to achieve those goals in a basic way.
And so it sounds like you're looking towards helping companies that are in, or small businesses that are in quite possibly major distress at this point because they may be getting pushed out as they speak.
That is correct. And we
Okay.
try to get in early. We used to identify what neighborhoods we were going to do. We used a Kevin Bogue, who is a grad student at UW Tacoma, came up with this prediction of gentrifying neighborhoods. So using GIS mapping, and it's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you know, like where the I guess the trouble spots or the danger zones would be at this point.
Exactly, and it's not 100% predictable, but it gives you an idea of where the low income, high or rather low percentage of Caucasians live. Locations where there's low education. There are a couple of other criteria that he uses.
Being your neighbor.
Yes.
My neighbor?
Yeah, your neighbor.
That's
He's talking about
rude.
your neighborhood.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit there. There's a lot of old white people in my neighborhood. That's perfectly honest with that one. So when looking at somewhere like Tacoma, I don't think necessarily you need even like something really fancy at that to understand that there is an issue coming up because we've got the light rail coming into Hilltop, and that is already seeing people getting either close to being pushed out or wanting to make sure that they're not being pushed out by this. So I'd have to imagine that Hilltop is going to be a central focus in the Tacoma area.
Definitely. And it was the Hilltop that was one of the inspirations for my starting the organization.
Really? Okay.
It was indeed. I have lived all over the country, but I saw this gentrification happen in Washington, D.C., in Oakland, California, And then I saw it happening here. And what's interesting is that that you bring up the light rail. Expansion of transportation and improvement in transportation is often one of the harbingers of development and gentrification. Folks find it easier to get to work from these new locations, and so they start to move in. And so we use that as a metric as well. And Hilltop, Stadium, and 6th Ave are all prime locations where we're going to be focusing on.
Well, and rent for small businesses is just skyrocketing on 6th Ave.
Is it really?
Oh, I can imagine, right? Like that place is awesome. Like, yeah.
And it's, I mean, they're getting ready to build that super multi-use area right at the very end of it on near Union and 6th. Not quite there.
You were just impressing me with your knowledge of what is going on in Tacoma right now. Like,
Really?
Yeah, the Hilltop expansion. You're like the super thing. Look at you go.
Well, and I mean, it's like one of those things where I care about Tacoma and seeing this sort of thing because I feel that stuff like the light rail and even the BRT that is coming in, I feel that these are good things.
What's a BRT?
The bus rapid transit that's going to run from Buckley down to downtown Tacoma. So it's going to be a quick Route 1 going
So
down
it's like
Pacific
Rapid
Avenue.
Ride?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's just like Rapid Ride. And I feel that this is good for low-income people that live out deep to be able to even get into town and people working for that. But at that same point, I think we all need to be very cognizant of the overrun that we're going to get because like Oakland had that problem because of San Francisco, and Seattle is that same problem. It's San Francisco light at this point, and I would love to see us not turn into a huge gentrified area where it's just people working in Seattle, which unfortunately, I mean, shit, I do.
that's what
But
it is
yeah,
now. I mean,
that's
it's
what we do.
hard. But
Yeah.
there's. I mean, how many of us do it?
Yeah, and but I want to be able to make sure that somebody who works in Tacoma can live in Tacoma and still afford all of these things. So I feel like the public transit is a good part, but we also have to maintain a balance with that.
Right, and our vision is development without displacement. That's really the goal. We want to, we see the benefit. There's obvious benefit in investing in low-income communities. The problem is, way too often, these folks that are living there and that are working there and have small businesses there get pushed out, and then it's not really benefiting anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's what we are aiming to accomplish is for these small business owners to identify how they can increase revenue, how they can cater to a new market that's moving in, and how to access capital so that they can improve asset building. And improve equity in their businesses.
I like that, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
to
No, go ahead,
interrupt,
go
but
ahead.
I like that. I like that you're coming from a different, like you're coming from the direction of we want to we don't want to stifle the growth, but we want to include you in it. And I like that.
And it's one of those things that I get kind of down when I see the people that had spray painted, Go Home or whatever on like the bread store up on Hilltop or just on the different walls. It's like there's a way that this can be done for everybody's benefit. And you just have to kind of find that balance. And that's the hard part to do because when you're looking at somebody who's been, maybe they've been living here and maybe they've had their corner shop for 50 years and it's been in the family, and then suddenly all these new people are coming in and it will seem like a threat to them, and it's understandable why it would be, but you want to make sure that you can say no, there's a way that you can thrive in this situation.
Yeah. People need to recognize that as a new market for them, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a whole new customer base for you. So
Exactly. And so our goal is to help them set a plan, and easy, tangible goals that they can achieve in order to reach that point. And I'll be honest because I did this work in Oakland, California as well, and there's definitely a sense of the story of the guy throwing seashells off back into the ocean. From the beach, and somebody says, "Why are you bothering? There's so many seashells here." And he says, "Yeah, but I just saved that one." The market forces are what they are, and there are going to be folks that get displaced. But the goal is to limit that number and retain diversity in these neighborhoods.
Now, again, this is Urban Business Support. We're speaking with Oliver today. And if you want more information, it's really simple. You can go to urbanbizsps.org. It's available right on the page, like if you're looking at this podcast right now, or if you go to Grit City Podcast, it'll be right available right there so people can check that out. Now, do you only help places that are worried about displacement, or are you looking for any sort of small business that may need assistance?
So we are interested in filling blighted areas, and so places that are vacant. And so we do work with some businesses that maybe they're looking to legitimize, maybe they're operating out of their home and they're looking to have a storefront. The caveat to that is if you all are familiar with Spaceworks, who works.
We are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As soon as he said empty buildings, I think we all went Spaceworks.
I'm glad you bring it up, but I'm glad you did.
And, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here or step on anybody's toes. And Spaceworks is really very well set up to work with creative businesses. And we find those creative businesses and refer them over to Spaceworks.
Perfect. Nice. And it's like, I mean, like even just having something like we're right here now in the Union Club, and a lot of the places like this in terms of like these co-working spaces, you can have like with Union Club, you can have as low as $99 a month. But a lot of the times what it gets you is it gets you a business address. So you're not working out of your home, which a lot of the times technically you're not supposed to. And so this gives you that legitimization that a lot of companies or businesses, small businesses really do need.
For sure. And, it was very important to us because we received a grant from the City of Tacoma Office of Economic Development to conduct this work, and we were able to offer these courses for free as a result.
Oh, nice.
Cool. So you guys don't charge anything at all?
We don't charge anything at all.
That's really neat. Yeah.
We actually actually supply food.
Oh, neat! Even better.
And
We're coming now. Done.
No. Is it more or less than $31 worth of Taco Bell food?
it is more. it is actually considerably more because we look to have about 20 businesses in each cohort. So yes, it is considerably more. But we also offer childcare for those who might not, if that's a barrier to them participating. With some advance notice, we've budgeted to take care of that as well.
That is really cool. Just because, I mean, a lot of the problems people will have are that they may have an idea for a business, or they may be getting ready to get it started, but but then they'll come up with reasons why they can't. Well, I can't quit my job. I can't do this. And a lot of the times it might be just the recognition that yes, there's childcare, there's some food, there's some sort of thing there that we're here to help you, sort of thing, where we want to see you thrive, and that's where you want to go with that.
That's correct.
Childcare is a big deal when you're starting a business, even if you're a single parent, right? But even if you're not, a lot of times you'll have like.
Now, there are a bunch of different programs out there, but what sets yours apart from the others?
So I think that there are a few. And I didn't get to mention yet that after the Business Plan in a Day program, we offer an entrepreneurship program. And that's where we try to take a more holistic approach to working with these small business owners. And so from the 20 that we look to have in the Business Plan in a Day, we choose between 6 to 10 of them that are particularly strong. And we work with them to improve their business plan, as well as personal finances and credit literacy and leadership skills. And so those are the things that I think that set us apart from other programs. First of all, we're working with existing businesses primarily and not just startups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We are offering the personal credit because, as a lender, I realize that that's often what holds people back from being able to access capital is their personal credit. And we've partnered with Sound Outreach, who is an awesome organization also based here in Tacoma that provides one-on-one consulting for personal financial literacy. We also look to not just teach business skills, but also to build leaders. And so leadership is a very important aspect of our program. We're not just talking about what we are talking about is learning yourself, who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are. We do a lot of group activities and split the business owners up and try to partner them with other businesses that are there that might be able to create some synergy between the two.
Like what sort of like group activities do you mean in those sort of terms?
So a big part is Myers-Briggs. And one of the things that we do is the Myers-Briggs test for those.
All of us are looking at each
No,
other.
no, I know exactly what the Myers-Briggs
I don't know what it
Just
is.
you
Oh,
don't.
we got to make Justin do the Myers-Briggs.
What the hell
I
is
think
that?
he
Yeah.
should have to do it just so we
Yeah.
can figure him out.
What?
Don't worry, I'm going to send you an email.
Oh no. Okay.
Basically, it's a personality type test.
Oh, did we have to do that when
it
we
makes
were
you like
security
an
guards?
IATAL or.
Oh yeah, we had to do that when we were security guards, man.
A lot of jobs have you do them.
Yeah.
A lot of managers have you do it just to see how you fit into their team.
Ours will be at odds with each other.
You think so?
You're all introverted and terrible, and I'm all extroverted and wonderful.
Oh, is that how that works
That's
out?
exactly
Is
how
that-
that's
is
what
that-
it's going to say.
I always lie on them, and I always pick the opposite. I think that makes me a sociopath. But
So
So what's interesting is we do this Myers-Briggs personality test, and we don't just have you take it yourself, but we have the other business owners take it for you. And answer.
Should we do that?
And
Oh, we take it for each other.
Yeah.
so you answer the questions and how you think the other person would respond.
See, I just think we just sabotage each other's answers.
for sure,
Yeah.
dude, I would. I'd sabotage my own shit. I'm not going to give honest answers to you guys.
But in terms of what, instead of like us being, jackasses and ruining each other's lives with these, all the other teams are coming together to try to build a truthful portfolio and that sort of thing.
That's true. That's right. And there are other activities about. There's one activity that we do where you close your eyes and have somebody standing there, and you walk along walk in a straight line, and while you're walking, you're talking about what your strengths and weaknesses are. And it's amazing that, if you're talking to somebody about your strengths and weaknesses and you're looking at them, you might hold back, and you won't be as open. But when you close your eyes,
it's eye contact. A lot of the times people, Brogan was talking about being an introvert. Yes, it's hard making eye contact with people a lot of the times because if you're keeping that gaze, it can be stifling, just like you said.
right?
Can be super sexy too. Just
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
In my industry, I deal with eye contact every day and the lack of it.
Okay, there you go. At a gaming store, how does that work out for you on that one?
That's real poor. I'm like, oh, you can tell a lot about somebody by the way they look at you.
You should be having these group things with all your RPGers out there.
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to see that.
I don't want to.
But one of those, that's a way because it's freeing when you're able just to talk about your strengths and weaknesses with concentrating on something else and not worried about talking to the person.
Exactly.
That's smart. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of activities that we do like that it really is about not just learning about your strengths and weaknesses, but learning how to mitigate your weaknesses, how to find people that complement you. Firing and hiring are probably the most difficult aspects of running a business.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yep.
Apart from finances, maybe, but firing and hiring, and so being able to stand up, and take leadership, not just in your business, but also outside in your community. And so, what we want to do, what we want to see, is these business owners able to work collaboratively to negotiate rents with developers. Maybe even pool their resources and be able to purchase a building from underneath a developer.
Okay,
To increase that type of local ownership. And it changed my life because the curriculum is developed by an organization in Oakland, California called Centro Community Partners.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it when they first started it, and it changed my life. This is the second organization I've founded since taking that.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's really
Wow.
amazing.
Congratulations on that then at that point, man.
Thank you.
Well, that's the thing that a lot of people need. That leadership thing is probably one of the most important things, because once you own a business, an actual brick and mortar location, whether you want to be or not, you just became a very important member of your community.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well be the crazy homeless man walking up and down the streets, except for you have your own door. I mean, really, you now are in charge
That's a good way
of
to put
your
that.
little bit of the neighborhood.
Well, you start to care, right? Like, you're like, I don't want my neighborhood to go to shit
Hey.
because I have this business here. Like, I don't want you guys painting outside my thing. Like, I don't need this
Oh,
whatever's
dude,
going on in the corner here, right?
Exactly. You have no idea.
Well, and I mean, like, seriously, Brogan, it's been, how long have you had Wizards Keep games?
2 years,
2
1
years?
month, and 9 days.
Congratulations, by the way. And, like, what were some of those tough lessons that you had to learn? Like, out of it?
Landlords are not all created equal, and negotiating your rent terms and all that are really important.
Really?
Yeah, my one business, my landlord is a douchebag.
Oh.
And I don't care. I tell him every email I send him. I'm like, you should be ashamed of the way that you run
Oh,
this
man,
property.
that sucks.
That's all right. I learned.
Yeah, you learned, and that's one of those things too. Is that with any small business, it's going to be a learning process. So not only are you not going to know everything going into it, but there's going to be things years down the road that you're going to learn.
You're not going to know anything if you're brick and mortar. It's terrifying.
But Oliver, you're there to help those people and help them realize a lot of those things that they may have overlooked, some of the simple things, and then as they're going along, gradually help them continue on in keeping their business going.
That's right. The curriculum is not a lecture. I'm not going to stand up there and say, this is what market analysis is, and have them memorize a bunch of things for a
if you
test.
want that, go see the guys at SCORE.
Right. Exactly. And we are a discussion. We encourage, and the cohort that we just held in Hilltop was a perfect example where the business owners throw out ideas, they get critiqued, they get changed, they come up with solutions themselves.
And what exactly is a cohort?
Oh, a cohort is a group of participants.
Yeah,
Okay,
like a
okay.
class.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
I-
less.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay,
Because it's a discussion, I don't like to call it a class.
Yeah.
like to call it a workshop.
nice.
I sometimes slip up and call it a class, but the best workshops are the ones where I stand up there and don't have to say anything, and all of the ideas and all of the questions and all of the answers come from the participants themselves, and so that's another aspect that sets our program apart, I think, from others, is that collaborative aspect that to it.
Because I mean, each area is going to be different too, with its own problems or its just the different ways that it's going to be dealing with. What areas are you dealing with in the South Sound area, or even like in the Seattle area, all around? Where are you focusing on?
So we're focused on Tacoma
Okay,
for this year.
perfect.
We might branch out next year. I'm still debating and looking for financing. So if you want to finance me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are located. And I should have mentioned this before. We focus on specific communities. So we don't have one location where everybody has to come and take our workshop. We work in the communities themselves and
Nice.
find locations where, ideally, again, talking about access to the program, that folks would be able to walk. And so we're holding 6 cohorts in the city of Tacoma this year. One in Hilltop, one in West Tacoma, in the James Center.
Oh yeah.
One in 6th Ave, one in Stadium, one in Lincoln, and one down in South Tacoma Way, which will be entirely in Spanish.
Oh,
I speak
call.
Spanish fluently and started this program in Guadalajara, Mexico. So, and there's a lot of Latino-owned businesses down in the South Tacoma Way that
Absolutely.
could really benefit from from our work.
It's a great area too.
It
It's
is.
growing and
Yeah.
killing it down there as well.
I really love the South Tacoma area, especially just right around like the 56th area.
It's a great opportunity for business development on South Tacoma Way. All the
Absolutely.
way down to the base.
I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
say, isn't
yeah.
the other Union Club down there?
Yeah,
Aren't they down on South Tacoma Way as well?
Yeah, Surge South Tacoma.
Surge. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, and Surge is owned by them too, and they're another great resource for all the different things as well, all the different areas that they've had. What are you looking at over there, Scott?
I'm looking at these bottle caps from these Mickey's beers that Brogan bought because they have little things on them, but I'm not smart enough to figure them out.
Oh, they're like the Rainier bottle caps.
Yeah,
They've got
they're
the
way
puzzles on
better.
them.
Yep.
How are
All
they
right.
better?
I got some more questions.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Shoot, man.
You want to do them now? You guys want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Yeah, let's take a
gotta
break.
get my
We'll
life
refill
together.
our drinks, and then we'll come
Brogan.
back in a second. And
I'm sure
we'll-
we get coaster questions as well.
we
Coaster
probably have some
questions.
coaster
How
questions.
about we just have Brogan has some small business?
I think we got Brokester questions. So we'll be
All right, deal.
Yeah, we'll be back in a minute.
We are live.
Oh no, we're live. We are back. We are
T-Rex.
full T-Rex. I love that term. I'm using it unironically now. I love those girls. Please, everyone, go back and you son of a bitch. Go back and listen. If you didn't listen to our awesome podcast with the Tacoma Sirens, the women's rugby team, they're amazing. They are fantastic.
Dude, it was a
And
fun one, man.
Yeah,
Second half was kind of a mess, but it was still a great
It was
time.
really a mess, but it was also amazing the fact that they stopped down and we all prayed. Because, well, I mean, we're in a place that might be haunted. I don't
They
know.
were scared. of the
They were
ghosts,
legit
dude.
scared.
Like,
and then,
legit.
And then Scott's wife walks down the stairs and tries to sneak by and literally makes them scream. It was amazing.
While everybody was praying and their heads were all down, Becca came down the stairs and grabbed a beer. And so when they opened their eyes, all they saw was this like lady walking up the stairs.
It was
It was
amazing.
pretty funny.
We are back with Oliver from Urban Business Support. Again, you can get more information at urbanbizsps.org. And now we don't have coaster questions, but we've got Brogster questions.
I hate you.
Why do you hate me?
You're stupid. All right.
Oh.
So,
Rude.
Brogster.
Brogster. It's like coaster. You're the one who made Beef Broganoff. Are you not going to be using your own brogy names?
Fine. Still, whatever. All right. So, in your program, we'll just use Tacoma in general. So, I own a shoe store, and because I'm thinking of the one over by your house.
Oh, yeah. That's, that's
it's
still
in,
going on.
It's
yeah.
in a low-income neighborhood, and very obviously slated for probably not going to be there very much longer because the people that
Well, because the BRT's running right by there, so that is actually a business that could quite possibly go away real soon.
Okay. So there's a shoe cobbler, and that person, I mean, and the building looks dumpy. I bet you he owns it. Would this be a program if he wanted to go, okay, so obviously I'm no longer going to make my money fixing busted Nikes. I got to start learning about fixing Gucci shoes and all these things that, Justin's wife buys.
Nice.
And is that a thing that you could assist with? So his business plan would be, I need to learn A, how to do that, and B, just clean up my storefront because nobody's going to go in there the way that it's currently looking. Would that be a good candidate for this?
It would be an excellent candidate. Again, that's kind of what we aim to do is to say, and is to have these folks set goals for themselves. If it comes from us, then they're not going to follow through.
Because it's not their own idea at that point. They're just being told or, say, you should do this because it's the way to go. And that might not be what their heart feels is correct for them, even if it may be.
Right, and so the idea is for them to be able to they learn to do the market analysis and say, okay, this is how the demographics in my neighborhood are changing, and I'm going to need to cater to this new population. And what do I need to do that? What is it that they want?
And how do I get a hold of them? How do I reach out and tell all these people that just moved into Justin's neighbor, who's now they've gone from this neighborhood that was really low income to now fancy pants' neighbors.
Oh, I'm fancy pants.
Fancy pants,
Nice.
and
Mr.
and
and
reach
Mrs.
out
Fancy
to
Pants.
that. What type of is there a social media part of this that they need to work with? Or
For sure. Right,
and then,
exactly.
so there's a marketing aspect to that for our owner of Don's Shoes and watch repair or whatever it is he's doing.
Right. And then ideally be able to take that business plan and go to a microlender and say, hey, you know what? I need $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is to clean up my shop and maybe bring it up to code, whatever it is that he
get the
needs
front
to do.
of my store to look more Starbucks.
Right.
Well, because that's really going to be the problem, right? 'Cause
Totally.
there's going to be all these people that maybe they are just making a living, right? Maybe he owns the building, but it changes all of a sudden when that price tag of that building goes from being a shanty, something
Yeah.
you could put on a credit card to worth a few $100,000.
And to plug the City of Tacoma's Office of Economic Development, they have a facade loan program,
Oh, really?
a facade improvement loan program.
Nice.
So
Wow.
that is an option.
And so you actually know about all the little sort of ins and outs, because I would have never known anything about that. But you have done the study, have studied what Tacoma can offer, and I mean, you've been able to use their grants to be able to even do this. So you're in the know of, well, I might need to do this, but I can't find any money. There's a lot of the times where you can figure out what will work for that specific need.
Exactly, and having been a small business lender for so long, it definitely helps out. And as a small business lender, I was different than your traditional lenders because I always worked for nonprofits. I worked for organizations that were financing businesses that banks wouldn't finance for whatever reason. And so
Because banks won't finance anybody.
right. It's very hard, and people forget and badmouth the banks. And don't get me wrong, I hate banks myself, but 2008 is in some people's memory. It's getting further and further away, so maybe less and less people remember it. But they're holding our money, and so we want them to make really, really good, sound loans with our
Yes.
money, because if they don't, then we have another 2008. And so they have to be very strict about who they lend to. But the success that I've seen in lending to businesses that weren't able to get credit from those banks has taught me that there are a lot of good credits out there. And banks aren't lending to them. And so my goal is eventually to start a microloan program so that we can finance some of the graduates of our entrepreneurship program and make it easier for them to clean up their shop.
And you also have advanced membership programs as well, or mentorship programs as well?
That's right. So we have partnered, I mentioned Sound Outreach before. They do one-on-one counseling for personal financials and personal credit. They also offer one-on-one small business consulting. And, we do make a lifelong commitment to these business owners. We're not just going to put them through a class and say adios. We continue to work with them one-on-one moving forward, and Sound Outreach is providing an option for us to help mitigate our weaknesses in that front.
And it makes sense because as a nonprofit, and the fact that you're doing this for free, you want to see the community thrive. And like you said, it's not going to be just a week, a year, 2 years down the line, because you want to see them continue to thrive, because also it proves how well what you're doing is working. And I think that's one of those lifelong things that kind of works. Again, we're talking about the mutual benefits for everybody along those lines is going to be continuing to do that as well.
It's very true. It's self-serving in a certain way is I think what you're trying to get at.
Well, I mean, everything is self-serving for everyone, and at that point, it's like as long as it's beneficial for others and what you're doing is good, it's a good thing because it proves that you can do that for others as well.
Exactly. And then that helps with us finding more money to keep doing what it is that we do. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a labor of love. I was a small business lender, so I gave up a lot of money to start doing this, and my heart is really in it. In particular, there were a group of businesses up in the SeaTac Tukwila area that are being displaced as a result of a development, private and public development, both.
Really?
Going on up there, 75 businesses. And
Wow.
I was looking at this and going, these are 75 families that are losing their livelihoods.
Absolutely. And with those, I mean, that's something that could just as easily happen down here in Tacoma. A big business can buy up one of the buildings or one of the blocks, like one of the city blocks at this point, and then suddenly, boom, pushes them out, makes a parking lot or something along those lines at this point, and then all those people are just left out.
Well, and I mean, they could
shitty.
just get their rent raised to a
Yeah.
reasonable
Yeah.
level. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't even
Exactly.
have to be an insidious big company. It could just be the price per
landlord.
square has just gotten outside of the reach, and then you have to figure out how to market better, and then there's some businesses that are just becoming buggy whips, like the retail industry in general.
Oh, buggy whips. I like
You know
that
what I
term.
mean? Yeah, I mean, you don't need a buggy whip anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We
you
don't
just-
have buggies.
yeah.
Amazon is replacing so much of the world's retail. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So learning how to diversify your business into a way that is a little more, Amazon proof.
I like big business Brogan over here.
Big Business Brogan has learned a lot the hard way. And so in this endeavor, so say somebody's listening to this right now and they've got a business, what would you say would be their minimum requirement for entry?
Into our program?
Yeah, like do they have to have a certain amount of time under their belt? Do you want to see their financials to prove that they are a business? Or do they just say, hey, I've got Smokin' Scott's Hot Rod T-shirt printing company.
Dude, you told everybody, Dick. That was supposed to be a secret. It's a secret business.
Secret business.
To take a word from one of my former bosses, the only criterion that I have is coachability. They have to be somebody who's willing and open to new ideas. And, you get a lot of, especially small business owners, they're pretty stubborn, a lot of them. They think they know it all, and they, like you were mentioning, folks that have been around, they've been in business for 25 years. They don't need any help. They already know what they're doing. They don't need a business plan. And it's actually on the contrary, because, if you're a small business, and it's always been the case, but especially nowadays, if you are a small business and you don't change and you don't adapt, then you're not going to survive. And so that coachability is very important, that they be able to say, I recognize that I'm facing a problem, and I need to figure out what I need to do to get through it.
That is awesome. That is
I
really
see
cool.
that in my industry all the time. You know how many of these businesses like mine that don't have any online presence at all?
Really?
Yeah, they
and
just
that's
refuse to do it.
And that's like one of the hardest things, especially with what you're doing, is that there's so much of it that a lot of companies are literally kept afloat because of the online business.
Because if not, you could buy it from Amazon for $3 more than it cost me from a distributor. You can't make any money that way.
And I mean, you're just talking about the retail. It's like, how many of us buy everything on Amazon? And then you got to kind of make a pointed effort at this point in time to buy local, or at least support some sort of local businesses.
And that's important. Everybody needs to do that. Because
Yeah.
I could literally paper my house in Amazon boxes right now, and I own a small business.
Oliver, seriously, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Again, it is Urban Business Support. UrbanBizSPS.org is where you can get more information. You can see about the different events that are being held around Tacoma all this time, and also future events. So if you're listening to this a year later on the podcast, or just downloading random podcast, and you're like, oh, this is an interesting one, go ahead and check out
are
the
you in
site
trouble?
and see where the what different events are happening at the different times, because I'm sure that this is going to keep on going as you keep moving and growing and helping other businesses. Thank you so much, man.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate it. It was a great honor.